Hey Virgo, Anna here with you. Um, okay, so I need to address the title before we go any further. When I say destroy, I'm not talking about witchcraft or cosmic attacks or people sitting in rooms plotting your demise like movie villains. I'm talking about real world interference, real world undermining, real world efforts to damage your reputation, your relationships, your opportunities, or your peace. That's what we mean by destruction in this context. People working against your interests, people speaking against you in spaces you can't access, people creating obstacles you can't see yet. That's real. That happens. And some of you are dealing with it right now without fully realizing it. So we're going to break down what that looks like, who typically does this, why they do it, and most importantly, how you recognize it and protect yourself without becoming paranoid or vindictive. Because the goal isn't revenge, the goal is awareness. Awareness protects you. Let's get into it. Two is a specific number. Not one person operating alone. Two people operating together. And that's significant because two people creates alliance, creates reinforcement, creates echo chamber. When one person talks negatively about you, others can dismiss it as bias, as personal issue, as one perspective. But when two people are saying the same things, suddenly it seems more credible. Suddenly it looks like pattern. Suddenly it looks like maybe there's truth there. That's why two is more dangerous than one. Eh, Two people can validate each other's narratives, can support each other's stories, can create the appearance of consensus, can make their version seem like objective reality. It's not just me who sees this. She sees it too. We've both noticed. That framing makes it harder to dismiss, makes it harder to defend against, because now you're not just defending against one person's perception, you're defending against multiple people, even though it's just two. Two feels like multiple, two feels like pattern. And those two people, they're often connected, friends, colleagues, sisters, cousins, people who already have established relationship, who already trust each other, who already have shared history that bonds them against outsiders. And you're the outsider. You're the common target. You're what binds them together right now. That's the dynamic. That's what you're dealing with, not random strangers, people who know each other, who are coordinating, who are aligned. Um, so let's talk about who these two people typically are. Pattern one, two women who feel threatened by you. Could be threatened romantically. You're dating or interested in someone they want or had. Could be threatened professionally. You're succeeding in spaces they feel ownership over. Could be threatened socially. You're getting attention, friendship, inclusion they think should be theirs. Whatever the specific threat, the root is same. They see you as competition, as danger, as problem. And instead of handling their insecurity internally, they externalize it. They make you the problem. They create narrative where you're the villain, where you're doing something wrong, where you're the reason things aren't going well for them. That narrative soothes their ego, gives them explanation that doesn't require self-examination. It's not that I'm inadequate. It's that she's manipulative. It's that she's fake. It's that she's a threat. Um, and once that narrative forms, they start sharing it with each other first. They bond over it, they validate each other's perception, they build the story together, and then they start spreading it carefully, strategically to the right people, people who might believe it, people who might act on it, people who have influence over your life. That's when it becomes dangerous, when it moves from private complaint to public campaign. Pattern 2. Two women who are close to someone you're involved with. His friends, his family, his exes, his coworkers, women who feel protective of him, who feel invested in his choices, who think they know what's best for him, who think you're not it. And they're working to create distance, to plant doubt, to undermine the relationship, not necessarily because you're bad for him, because you're not what they wanted for him. Maybe they wanted him with someone else, someone they approved of, someone from their circle. Maybe they wanted him single so he'd stay available to them in whatever capacity he's been available. Maybe they just don't like change, don't like outsiders, don't like losing access or influence. Whatever the motivation, the result is same. They're working against you. Talking to him about concerns, highlighting your flaws, questioning your intentions, creating doubt where there wasn't doubt, creating problems where there weren't problems, making him second guess, making him wonder, making him question whether you're right for him. And they're doing it from a place of, we care about you. We're just looking out for you. We just want you to be happy, and we're not sure she's the one. That framing makes it hard for him to dismiss, makes it hard for him to defend you without seeming defensive. And if he's conflict avoidant, if he values peace, if he hates confrontation, he might start pulling away from you to avoid dealing with them. Might start creating distance to reduce the pressure they're applying. Might start doubting the relationship because doubt is easier than defending it constantly. That's how they win, not by convincing him you're terrible, by making you too much work to defend, by making the relationship more trouble than it's worth from his perspective. That's the strategy. That's what you're up against. Pattern 3. Two women who used to be close to you, former friends, former allies, people who were in your inner circle, and something shifted, something changed, something created rift. Maybe you outgrew them, maybe you set boundaries they didn't like, maybe you chose differently than they wanted, maybe you stopped being available in ways they expected. And instead of accepting that relationships evolve, that people change, that distance happens, they took it personally. They made it about you wronging them. They created narrative where you're the one who changed for the worse, where you're the one who became different, difficult, problematic, and now they're bonded in their mutual resentment, in their shared grievance, and they're talking to each other constantly, to others selectively, sharing their version of events, their interpretation of why you're no longer close. And in their version, they're the victims. They're the ones who were abandoned, betrayed, mistreated. You're the one who became too good for them, too successful, too different, too much. All of that is designed to generate sympathy for them and suspicion of you, to make people question your character, your loyalty, your authenticity. And it works, especially with people who don't know you well, who don't have their own experience to counterbalance the narrative, who just hear the story and think, wow, that's messed up, without questioning whether it's accurate. That's how reputation gets damaged, through stories told by people who sound credible, who seem hurt, who appear to be processing genuine pain, even when the story is distorted, even when it's one-sided, even when it's not true. So those are the typical patterns. Now let's talk about tactic. How do two women actually work to undermine you? What does that look like in practice? Tactic 1, they control narrative. They talk about you before you can talk about yourself. They frame you before you can frame yourself. They get to people first, plant seeds, create impressions. So when you eventually interact with those people, they're already primed to see you a certain way. You walk in and they're already skeptical, already questioning, already looking for evidence that confirms what they've heard. That's called anchoring. First impression sticks. First story sticks. And even if you're perfectly pleasant, perfectly normal, perfectly fine, they're watching through the lens of suspicion, looking for the thing they were warned about. And if they find anything even remotely close, it confirms the narrative. Oh yeah, I can see what they meant. She is a bit whatever, doesn't matter what. The point is, the narrative is set, and everything you do gets filtered through it. Tactic 2, they isolate you. They work to create distance between you and potential allies, between you and people who might support you, defend you, include you. They do this through subtle exclusion. Group chats you're not added to. Plans made without you. Invitations that don't come. And when you notice, when you ask, it's always innocent, always accidental. Oh, we didn't think you'd be interested. Oh, it was last minute. Oh, we thought you were busy. All plausible, all deniable, all calculated, because isolated people are vulnerable people. People without support are easier to damage. If you're connected, if you're included, if you have community, you have people who know you, who've experienced you, who can counter the narrative. But if you're isolated, if people only know you through others' descriptions, you have no defense, no witnesses, no one to vouch for your character. That's strategic. That's deliberate. That's them creating conditions where their story is the only story. Tactic 3, they undermine your credibility. They question your competence, your stability, your honesty, your intentions. They do it subtly, through questions disguised as concern. Is she okay? She seemed really off the other day. Has anyone else noticed she's been acting strange? I don't want to gossip, but I'm worried about her. Something seems wrong. All of this plants doubt without making direct accusations. It creates atmosphere of concern, makes people start watching you more closely, looking for signs of whatever problem is being implied. And once people are looking for problems, they find them. Even when they're not there, normal stress looks like instability. Normal boundaries look like hostility. Normal confidence looks like arrogance. Normal success looks like manipulation. everything gets interpreted through the filter of something's wrong with her, and you can't defend against implications, can't address concerns that are never stated directly. You're just walking around sensing that people are weird with you and not knowing why. That's gaslighting at group level. That's psychological warfare. Tactic 4, they leverage relationships. They go to people who have power over your life, your boss, your partner, mutual friends, and they express concerns, they share observations, they plant questions, always framed as care, always framed as, I just think someone should know. I don't want to overstep, but I've noticed some things that concern me about her performance. I care about him, and I'm not sure she's being honest with him about it's manipulation disguised as helpfulness. And the people receiving these messages don't know they're being manipulated. They think someone is genuinely trying to help, genuinely sharing important information. They don't see the agenda, don't see the bias, don't see the campaign. They just see someone who seems credible expressing legitimate sounding concerns, and now they're looking at you differently, questioning things they wouldn't have questioned, creating problems in relationships that were fine before someone interfered. That's the damage. That's what destruction looks like. Not direct attack, indirect erosion of trust, of reputation, of stability. So what do you do about this? How do you protect yourself? First, you recognize it, you name it, you see it clearly. You stop wondering if you're paranoid. Stop questioning if you're imagining things. If you feel targeted, if you sense coordinated effort, if things seem off, trust that. Trust your perception. You're probably right. Second, you don't engage directly. Don't confront them. Don't try to reason with them. Don't defend yourself to them. People working to undermine you aren't interested in truth, aren't interested in fairness. They're interested in their narrative, and your defense just gives them more ammunition. See how defensive she gets. See how she can't handle feedback. Everything you do gets used against you, so you do nothing with them. You focus on your actual life, your actual relationships, your actual character. You let your actions speak. You let your consistency speak. You let your integrity speak. You show people who you actually are through how you actually behave. And you trust that people who matter will see truth, will see through distortion, will choose their own experience of you over someone else's narrative about you. Third, you document patterns if necessary. If this is affecting your job, your safety, your concrete opportunities, you keep records, emails, messages, instances of exclusion or undermining, not to be vindictive, to protect yourself if it escalates, to have evidence if you need to involve HR, management, legal support. Most of the time you won't need it, but having it gives you options if things get worse. Fourth, you maintain your integrity obsessively. You don't give them real ammunition. You don't engage in behavior that validates their narrative. You stay professional, stay kind, stay boundaried, stay clean. You don't gossip about them. Don't talk negatively about them. Don't retaliate, because that's what they want. They want you to react, to lash out, to look unstable. So you stay calm, You stay grounded, you stay above it, and that's hard. That requires discipline, requires emotional regulation, requires not taking the bait when they're clearly trying to provoke you. But it's necessary because your reputation is built on your behavior, not your words, on what people actually witness from you, not what they hear about you. So you make sure what they witness is unimpeachable, is consistent, is solid. Fifth, you strengthen your actual relationships. You invest in people who know you, who've experienced you, who trust you. You deepen those connections. You show up for those people. You maintain those bonds because those are your witnesses, your advocates, your defense. When someone spreads narrative about you to them, they'll counter it. That doesn't match my experience of her at all. That doesn't sound like her. That's protection. That's what community does. So don't isolate yourself trying to handle this alone. Don't pull away from people out of fear. They'll believe the narrative. Stay connected. Stay present. Stay engaged. Let people continue to experience you authentically so they have their own data. Sixth, you consider the source. Who are these two women? What do they represent? What do they have to lose if you succeed? Understanding their motivation helps you not take it personally. This isn't about you being defective. This is about them being threatened. This is about their insecurity, their fear, their need to control. That's not your responsibility to fix. That's not your fault. That's just them. And once you see it as their issue, not your inadequacy, it loses power. You stop trying to win them over. Stop trying to prove yourself to them. You just move on. You focus on your path. You let them deal with their stuff. You refuse to be distracted by people who are irrelevant to your actual journey. And here's the truth about people trying to destroy you. They usually fail because destruction requires you to cooperate, to internalize their narrative, to believe their story, to let their actions change how you see yourself, how you carry yourself, how you show up. But if you don't, if you stay rooted in your own knowing, if you keep building regardless, they become irrelevant. They become background noise. They become footnote in your story. Not because you fought them, because you outlasted them, because you kept going while they stayed focused on you, because you kept building while they stayed busy tearing down. And eventually, people notice that. People see who's creating and who's just criticizing, who's growing and who's just gossiping, who's focused on their own path and who's obsessed with someone else's. That's how you win, not by destroying them back, by making them irrelevant through your continued growth, by becoming so focused on your own life that their interference becomes noise you don't even register anymore, by being so clear on your own worth that their opinion becomes meaningless. That's power. That's victory. That's how you protect yourself. Take what lands here. If you're dealing with two women working against you, now you see it clearly. Now you know what to watch for, what to protect, how to respond. Stay grounded, stay focused, stay you, and trust that people working to destroy you can't actually touch what's real in you, can't actually diminish what's true about you, can only create temporary distraction, temporary difficulty, temporary noise. But temporary isn't permanent, and noise isn't truth. So hold your ground, keep building, keep showing up, and let their efforts fall away into irrelevance where they belong. You're stronger than their interference. You're clearer than their narrative. You're more real than their distortion. Trust that and keep moving forward. That's the only response that matters. That's the only victory worth claiming. Go